Hi, friends.
Hello, everybody. What a beautiful crowd we have and a great conversation in store for you here today. Maria, I'm going to jump right in with the exciting news around your role with NBC expanding what I call almost the Avengers right now. It's looking like the lineup in terms of Tracy McGrady, Vince Carter, Michael Jordan, Carmelo Anthony, and so many others as well as yourself. What was that reaction for you when you found out you're going to be transitioning into NBA coverage with NBC with this incredible lineup?
I think the first time it really became real, we all hopped out of a van after upfronts. I'm sure you guys know all about that. And we were just going to go have a dinner. And I turned my head and I'm like, is that Reggie Miller's here? And they're like, Jamal Crawford's hanging out. What's going on? Where are we going? And it was just like all of our basketball talent was showing up. And then it's Jason Garrett, it's Chris Sims, it's Tony Dungy. And I'm like, this is cream of the crop across two very major professional, sports. And these are the friends and my colleagues. And I think that's what sealed okay, this is very important work. Not only that, but this is real. And the excitement that I felt in that moment was just the fact that it's all happening this season and we get to share it. I love basketball. I'm tall for a reason. I played volleyball and basketball in college, and so it's just been in my blood for a long time, so it's good to be back covering that sport as well.
Great to have you back. The ultimate crossover now, as well as just maybe your schedule getting a little bit busier. As if it's not busy enough with having a toddler and already doing a tremendous job with Football Night in America, that you now have the opportunity to cover the NBA, the WNBA. What can we expect from these expansions of roles within your busy 24 hours that apparently aren't the same 24 hours that we have?
It's the same 24 hours, but I will say my son woke up at 6 a.m. today. I took him to a music class. He did not care. He ended up driving the golf cart around Central Park. But I do enjoy the fact that it's always intentional. So let's say I'm probably working 3 days a week and maybe one day of that week we'll go into an interview with a player. We're going to get whatever is the best story for Sunday Night Football. And then on Monday and Tuesday, we're going to be in the studio trying to deliver whatever is the best show we could possibly deliver for pregame. And then I think, too, as we continue on into basketball season, just having the opportunity to put all of our interest and our time into telling the stories of these players is what I'm excited about. I've already been up to Toronto, spent some time with the Thunder, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, and I can already see the thirst for them to share their stories and have that be at the forefront of talking about the game. And I think we're really going to deliver on that. And you're going to just hear new voices as well. Like you mentioned, Carmelo. We've heard from Vince, and having Tracy McGrady back around. It's going to be great to hear their commentary because these are Hall of Famers that are always going to be talking about the game as well.
So as you made that transition into NBC Sports, coming from ESPN, I'm curious, were you hoping to have these types of wide variety of opportunities in terms of more action in a variety of sports, a variety of different roles? Was that a goal of yours in terms of what you wanted from your transition?
Yeah, it's so interesting because at the time of my transition, I was just I'm ready for something new. I'm ready for a new challenge, and I'm not sure what that's going to look like, but I knew that covering the Olympics was a dream. I went to the Olympics in Atlanta in '96, and that's when I really fell in love with the idea of even doing any broadcasting, like watching Bob Costas and watching gymnastics. So that was a dream that I was getting sold on. There was no guarantee of the NBA. There was a guarantee of being a part of Football Night in America. The idea being eventually Al Michaels was going to step out of the booth. Mike Tirico was going to take over, and eventually so I'd be able to host Football Night in America. But that first season, I was contributing. So I really was taking a time, a step back to reset, refocus, and lead myself a little bit. I felt like up until that point, I've always followed the lead. Whatever you offered, I was just going to take it. I was just going to take it. And for the first time, I got to sit back and be I want to be the leader of my sports broadcasting career and make decisions, say yes to the things that I really want to say yes to. Make sure that it's aligning with everything that I want for my whole entire life. And so when I sat down with NBC, that was a big part of it. It was about family. It was about finding a work-life balance. And like I said, it was about a new challenge. I really do believe that I needed that and to reconsider how I was structuring my life in general.
You hit on a lot there for us to unpack. So I'm going to start with the one thing that jumped out at me first. It was you feeling as though you took a step back when you made that transition. And for a lot of people, ESPN, sports mecca, sports leader, it's hard to continue to flourish after that. Yet here you are thriving. And as you've talked about, so many different components of sports coverage, from the Olympics to the NBA to the NFL to the WNBA, and even into some entertainment that we'll get into in a moment. You know, what was it that helped you take that step back to leap forward?
I think I go back to a seminal point in this whole decision-making process. I had fluid on my thyroid at one point, and we just weren't sure what it was. It just felt like a lump and looked like one. But the amount that I was working, I was never taking the time to stop and get it checked. Like, there actually wasn't time to do it. Until I remember being at a UNC, it might have just been a practice. So I was just there in the spring checking out their practice while I was there for a UNC basketball game. And I was like, maybe I'll just let their sports medicine guy take a look. And he saw it and he was like, you need to go see an endocrinologist. And I was like, well, I don't have time. I got to do this. I got to do that. I got to do this. And I remember talking to my dad and he's like, I mean, I don't care how many games my daughter does if she's dead. Like, if you work yourself into the ground and in the grave, like, I don't care. And that was like a real, like, let's sit back and think about what we're doing here. But the ethos, if you're at the worldwide sports leader, is to cover the sports. You got to be ready to go, you know, and that is what it was. And I just was not taking time for self. So when I finally went to the doctor, got everything checked and had the procedure, it just kind of made me think, like, maybe there's a different challenge for me out there. Again, I take nothing away from what that offered me. The number of households I got to be in, the number of reps I got, the people that I got to work with, still some of my best friends to this day, changed the trajectory of my whole entire career. But you do get to a point where, again, you're trying to be more decisive, and you're trying not to grind anymore. You want to mine deep. And I think I was getting past the grinding, and it's like, how do I mine deeper? How do I get to the source of excellence that I think I can deliver? And for me, that meant that I needed more time between events. That meant that I wanted to go on an IVF journey and become a mom, and that means I had to go to the doctor more than once every 5 years. You know what I mean? And so I had to take that step. And I really don't take it as, it's not a step back. I was just moving differently. You know what I mean? Like, I was still moving forward. It's just, I'm moving differently. And that's what led me to the decision to come over to
That
NBC.
is a bar right there. Moving differently. And as you mentioned, moving differently into also being able to start and build your own family. And for a lot of women in sports, and I see a lot of us in the room here and a lot of us that are watching, there's always the dilemma that you feel as though you have to sacrifice and choose. And that's for everybody, but especially for women. And I'm curious, as you touched on this a little bit, how has this opportunity, which has you working 25/8, also allowed you to still make time for family?
Yeah. I mean, I'll be crystal clear. When I got on the phone, it was Fred Gaudelli and Molly Solomon, and they said, we want you to be a mom. They said, we will not call you in the summer if you don't want to be called. And that is still, I trust the leadership that they still have that in mind. And they know that I have a 2-year-old son, and they've been nothing. I mean, I took my son to the Olympics. They got an adjoining room for my mom. I'm breastfeeding my son on the boat or pumping on the boat when we're doing opening ceremonies, and it's not a problem. Like, there's a plan. And so you have to be, I will tell all the women, you have to be in a place that is accepting of that journey, that will support you, because it's not going to be easy. I am going to bring my son to Milan, and we still got to figure out the logistics of that, but I believe that the leadership and the support system that's around me at work will allow for that. And you have to really, truly believe they allow for that. And that's been something that became the most important thing to me. And that's when your priorities shift. Yeah. So it wasn't that I was not choosing work. I was like, I'm choosing the leadership that's going to allow for that. And not saying that anyone else didn't, but I knew in my head, as soon as the first conversation I had, I was like, okay, you're speaking to my spirit.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You just know when someone says something like that they're in it for you. They're going to help you to achieve this goal that really has nothing to do with their bottom line. It has nothing to do with it, but they will help take care of you.
And beyond even sports and family, you're also crossing into so many other lanes within your NBC programming that you're appearing on. I remember turning on the Kelly Clarkson show randomly, and I was like, Maria is there doing the Kelly Olympics. Yeah. You're on the Today Show. Was this also a goal of yours to expand beyond sports into more of that entertainment and culture?
It's funny because sports has become, we say sports, but it just is culture.
That's true.
The lines are being blurred so much that people come to sports for culture. They come to sports for entertainment. And so if I'm not capable of meshing and fitting in with all of those things, then it actually is going to be difficult to cover sports. But no, I'm thankful for the opportunities that I've had to do the Met Gala or the Grammys or the or working on the red carpet shows, because it flexes a different muscle. I mean, it was like, usually I'm flooded with stats. I know everything. We're at the Met Gala. They're like, listen, okay, Doechie's coming. We don't know what she's wearing. Y'all just gonna have to talk about her. And I'm like, okay, this is new for me, but this is great. Like, let's freestyle a little bit. Like, let's just have some wit and banter and fun. And so it's been an interesting way to flex a different muscle, but certainly fun. I will say that Robin Roberts has always been someone that I look up to. Like, if I could model my whole life and career after that woman, I would, because I feel like when you turn on the TV, she's genuine and she is the same person on camera as she is off of it. And so that used to be like the goal. That is literally it. That's all I want to be. And I've seen her just go into any situation. She can be at the CMAs. You can see her covering Dancing with the Stars. You can see her doing sports, and you can see her doing hard news. And that's, like, to me, that's excellence. That's what that looks like. And that's what I feel like I want to strive for as a broadcaster.
Well, as a fellow two-sport Division I athlete, I understand as you're speaking my language of flexing different muscles and also just adding that versatility to your workflow, that you're not doing the same thing. It's not becoming very stagnant in that regard, but allowing you to stretch beyond maybe even your own comfort zone into some new areas. And so I'm thoroughly curious, as you look at all these different hats that you wear and all the different experiences. You know, you touched on Robin Roberts being an idol, a role model. What was that goal when you made that decision that you wanted to get into broadcasting versus what you're actually living now?
It's funny because the first goal that I had, being the two-sport athlete, I just wanted to, for some reason, I wanted to work the sidelines at the women's volleyball national championship. That's all I wanted to do. If they let me in the booth, fine. But at the time, Karch Karai was in it, and we ain't taking the booth from Karch Karai. And then I wanted to host the women's basketball tournament. Like, that was just it. And so when I started this journey, the very first time I even covered anything on air that was live, it was an Alabama volleyball match. I wish I could remember who they were playing, but I cannot for the life of me. And it was on Comcast Sports South. And out of striving for those goals, opportunity to work on SEC football popped out of nowhere. And then here comes SEC Network. Like, I will say that your journey has to be like kissed by destiny on so many different levels. Like, I had to be coming up at the exact same time as the SEC Network was launching and have a little bit of experience to gain my hosting chops, because I had to be given the seat next to Dari Noka. You know what I mean? I had to be there when Joe Tessitore left SEC Nation, you know, to go and do Monday Night Football so I could fill in for him and learn how to host a show that travels and is a big nature like that. You know what I mean? So a lot of times I feel like I've had God winks along the way. And so at every turn, I've had to adjust what the goal is. And that's what it's about. It's about evolving. If I was just like, no, I'm good here just doing volleyball and women's basketball, I wouldn't be able to do some of the same things that I'm doing now. But at the same turn, now I get to do the WNBA. You know what I mean? Like, I still get to be involved in the things that have set my dream up from the very beginning. The things that laid the foundation are still with me. I take them everywhere. I will stop in a second if I'm on a campus to go see a volleyball match. If you are a volleyball player and you email me, and they know this, they'll come and shadow me. Ronica Stone, who is now Ronica Love because she's married to Jordan Love, she shadowed me when we were at Oregon, and I brought her out to do the interview and surprise Jordan Love when I went out there the beginning of this year. It was last year. And so I can just see, like, as you're sowing these seeds and they sprout up late, like, you never know when they're going to bloom. And I feel as though women's sports gave me that. It started this whole entire journey. And although, like I said, the destination's evolved a little bit, but like the dream is pretty much the same.
Yeah, it's remarkable the amount of ways we pivot in our career, you change, you have one vision in mind, and with each chapter, it just allows you to expand in a different way. And the remarkable thing I also found was, as I was even just preparing for this conversation to figure out what's the best direction to take this for our audience to get so much knowledge from you, we almost need to swap out this screen with just the list of all the things you're doing, because there's another component as well that I haven't even hit on yet. It's the producer side. And you and I spoke previously before today just regarding how you wanted to be able to put on that producer hat, especially looking at this tremendous series you're doing around the role of the Black quarterback. Yeah. What has that production experience to be able to tell the stories you feel feel deserve to be told been like for you?
I feel like that's the next evolution. Like we're kind of saying, like, what is the next step? What are you going to do with everything that you've learned and everything that I've learned on air? And I wanted to make sure that we have voices in the writing room and producing roles that are telling all kinds of different stories. That's what it's all about, a wide array of voices. And so, yeah, I'm working on a 6-part documentary series on the history of the Black quarterback, and it's so great because I sat down with like James Shaq Harris and Doug Williams, Michael Vick, who was like, I grew up in Atlanta, so that was like a dream come true. Donovan McNabb, Randall
Eagles
Cunningham,
fan. Oh, yes.
Yeah, like literally all of them. Lamar Jackson, we just got him last week, and kind of telling their story to leadership because I was sitting down with Lamar Jackson and I told him, hey, these guys were told they had to play wide receiver. And Lamar's like, yeah, they told me the same thing, but I said, I'm not doing that. And I was like, Lamar, they couldn't say that. Lamar, that wasn't an option. And he just kind of sat there like he truly didn't understand. He's like, well, someone should tell that story. He's like, I haven't seen these clips on NFL films. And I was like, that's the point of this. That's it.
Yeah.
We're building an encyclopedia, the history of the lineage that brings us to today, where Jalen Hurts is playing Patrick Mahomes, and now we all think, if your quarterback's not mobile, you're not gonna win. If he doesn't move like Josh Allen, it probably isn't gonna work. But there was a time when that was seen as that's backyard football, and you gotta go play receiver or DB. Tony Dungy was a quarterback at Minnesota and one of the greats, and never got an opportunity to play. Warren Moon had to go to Canada and win Grey Cups before he could come back. So he's in the Hall. He's the only Black quarterback in the Hall of Fame now, but who knows what his numbers could have been if he had just been drafted, and he wasn't. Doug Williams, he ended up having to like take a break from playing and go back and be a substitute teacher because he couldn't get a contract that paid him more than his backup. And so these are the stories that I want even Jalen Hurts or Lamar Jackson or all of them to know and hear so that they continue to carry like pride with them when they move. And that's the point of that story. And I feel like everything that I've done up to this point leads to that. I feel like I try to work to build trust. I try to be great at my job. I try to make sure that the audience believes in me and what I say. And so when I come out with a project like this, it doesn't make people not understand one another. It helps people understand each other a little bit better. Like that's the whole point of this project, to pull everyone together and just hear the stories of these young men, or grown men now, that bring us to the point that we are at in football.
Yeah, and it's perspective. I mean, there are so many firsts we're still seeing where you're just seeing for the first time a division in the NFL have all 4 starting quarterbacks that are Black quarterbacks. So many things that are new, that are trailblazing, and you're at the forefront of that as well, even within your own role. You touched on building trust, building relationships. As a woman, as a Black woman that's, I'm sure many times walking into rooms where there aren't many that look like us, what have you learned to help build those relationships, to help be able to walk into those rooms confidently, to help open doors for others as well?
I view it as an opportunity every single time. I mean, I'm like, if you haven't had an opportunity to spend like up close and personal time with a Black woman, I want you to walk away from your time with me just like feeling really good about it. You know what I mean? And so you'll take that into every interaction that you have moving forward. And I tell women this all the time. I'm like, being a woman, it's a superpower in a lot of ways. People will remember you because you were there. If you use your voice, you're there for a reason. Like, make sure that you're saying the thing that is meant to be said from your perspective, because that's why you're there. Like, never shy away. And early on in my career, I didn't. Like, I'd be in the production meetings, and it'd be like Saban and like my producer, my director, and me. And I'm like, oh God, Saban's gonna chew me out if I ask any questions. I'm not gonna say anything. And then eventually you get to a point where I would like stand up and like, you just about to get a hug, Nick. You know what I mean? And like kind of assert myself early so that when it came to asking him questions later, like it would feel even better. And so I think you grow into that a little bit, but I'm hoping that people, or especially women, that they don't spend as much time as I did trying to like shy away from that light and instead step into it, because you deserve to be there.
Absolutely. And I'm also interested in just how your transition as a former athlete has also helped as well, because there are so many similarities. I tell people every day, I feel like I'm still in the grind as a soccer player, because it's so much that's the same in just your preparation, your routine, how you execute good days and bad games, so to speak. You know, what has helped you as a former athlete in just how you're bringing your authentic self into these rooms now with so many different sports and leagues that you're a part of?
Yeah, I think one of the big things is just like you're always, as an athlete, you're expected to perform, and therefore you are judged on it. And so I don't really mind being judged. I don't mind being critiqued. Like, you can come at me and tell me that, hey, I would do this a little bit different or whatever, because that's called coaching to me. where sometimes I think people could take it as a negative, like you're just bringing me down or they don't like me. I'm like, no, coach me up. Like, let me know, And then I also feel as though when the red light comes on, like, this is my moment. Like, this is my chance. I don't want to shy away from that. Like, that's a game to me. That's a game. And like you said, there are some bad performances. I can go back and 2 weeks ago, I can be like, that was terrible. You know what I mean? Like, to me, the Hall of Fame game show, terrible in my mind. But if you look forward to, like, I felt like we had a great show on Thursday night. So as an athlete, you learn to flush the bad, keep that confidence, keep moving forward and pushing for better. Like, we're never satisfied. You're never satisfied with that last output, and you always know that there's something better and greater for you and something that you can do. And I truly believe that. And also just like this idea of teamwork, that there's no way that I can sit up here and do this show by myself. Like, those guys have to believe in me. I have to believe in my producer. Me and the director, we all have to be on the same page in order for this to truly work. And so that's why I really believe that, like, athletes in the role in television, it just works out. It's like performance-based, it's teamwork-based. There's so many things that are very similar.
Absolutely. We could have this conversation for many hours, but let's wrap it up with this. Mm-hmm. Because of all the exciting things you have going on in your expanding role with NBC, I'm curious, let's start with Football Night in America. Of course, we're already heading into week 3 of the NFL season. It's been an exciting season, go Birds, to start off the year. What else are you hoping to bring in this season for the NFL that you wanted to do differently from the past?
I mean, this year we have the Super Bowl. I mean, like, it doesn't get much better than that. When I first came over to NBC, it was the Super Bowl in LA. And so that was my first time experiencing it. And again, I was kind of a little bit more of a contributor. So I'm looking forward to hosting the Super Bowl show. Like, that is something, if you would have asked me to just give your wildest dreams when I was coming out of college, or even when I first started broadcasting, never in my wildest dreams would this have been an option. Just to be there the same day that a Lombardi Trophy is going out and being a part of the broadcast group. And that is something that I will not take lightly, and that is a responsibility that I feel like we will rise up to at NBC, always have and always will, and just looking forward to continuing to tell the stories of these young men. We just did an interview with Justin Jefferson, and he did a Make-A-Wish Foundation Day with kids that are struggling with terminal illnesses. And that was just like, he practiced on Friday, did this, and then they had a walkthrough and was still with the kids. And I just want to be clear, like, he didn't have the best game, you know what I mean, on Sunday. They lost. Doesn't matter. Like, the things that he did on Friday, he already won everything that you could possibly win. And so just continuing to tell those stories are important to me on this long journey and stretch of road that we have leading up to the Super Bowl as well.
And in these initial conversations heading into year 1 of this 11-year deal with the NBA returning to NBC, what are the initial, we're kind of in preseason for even your broadcast coverage, of course. What can we anticipate to look forward to with your NBA coverage?
I know, we haven't even got to our NBA seminars and everything yet. I think that you will get that sense of nostalgia. You will understand the rich history that NBC has, and then you will be ushered forward into what is the NBA now. What does the new look coverage look like? I think you're going to hear fresh voices. You're going to have a nice fresh take on the game. It'll feel familiar in a lot of ways, but more than anything, it's going to feel welcoming to everyone who wants to join us on our coverage of the NBA, and that's what I'm looking forward to. Like, always want to make it like, welcome into our living room. Let's get you to this game feeling good and enjoying the competition that you're about to see. And I do believe that we're going to bring that, and it's going to be entertaining, and it's going to be informative, and it's going to be everything you come to expect from NBC and then some.
Well, speaking of entertaining, the WNBA playoffs have been extremely entertaining to start off in this first round. And of course, by this time next season, you guys will have the plan rolled out. Mm-hmm. You know, being back in women's basketball as a former player, what are you hoping to bring, and especially now with where the W's at?
Mm-hmm. We feel like, I feel like the WNBA is like, it's very digitally native. So like, everyone that comes to the WNBA, they know exactly where to find it. You can go on TikTok, you can go on IG, YouTube, whatever. And I think that when we're creating and crafting the show, we want it to feel the exact same way. Like, you're coming for a kickback. You're coming to enjoy these ladies. We're going to be talking about like, did you see Paige the last time? I mean, I saw what she was wearing. Did you see this? And making sure it's like giving you a scope of the full athlete and the full story. We want to definitely do that. And I think it'll be a fun and fresh take. But I, again, love the WNBA. I think Atlanta, the Dream, plays the Fever tonight. I'm a Dream fan, so I'm really hoping that we can get another win. And our coverage is going to be super thorough and and fun. And hopefully same there, you'll hear some of the voices that you've loved watching and now you get to hear from them.
Well, I've loved having this opportunity to be on the other side of the interview and getting to learn more about you because you're typically the one asking the questions. So my final question to you to leave people with is, with all these incredible things on your plate that is very full and runneth over, so to speak, what else can we expect from you, Maria? What does the future hold in terms of how you hope to expand?
I mean, I just hope to be Roman's mom and be good at that and balance those things with, this is a legendary year. We've got the Winter Olympics in Milan. We've got the NBA All-Star. We've got the WNBA finals coming, and we've got the Super Bowl. There's nothing more that I could ask for, wish for, and I plan on being there, ready and present for every single bit of it, and just continuing to hold the line and hopefully be a light for anyone who shows up and watches any of our shows, that you leave feeling good about what you just witnessed.
Well, I feel the light here. I'm sure you guys do too and have really thoroughly enjoyed this conversation as much as I did. Maria, thank you guys, and thank you all for being tuned in here with us at the Time Center. Thank you.
Thanks, guys.